I went back to Destiny 1 and had a look at some of the exotic helmets that hadn't yet been added to Destiny 2. First of all, we've got Mask of the Third Man. This helmet reduced the cost of your arc attacks when in your super. Skyburner's Annex would allow you to get orbs on multi-kills with heavy weapons and would also grant special ammo when picking up these orbs. Acleophage Symbiote was an exotic helmet which granted you an extra golden gun shot, and in Destiny 1 you only ever really had 3 golden gun shots, so this was really good. Finally, we have the Arachnid helmet, which is also my channel icon, and this would literally just increase the zoom of your golden gun. Not really the best, but it was pretty fun on long range maps. Here's a part 2 for the Titans. The Helm of Inmost Light would grant you 2 subclass nodes for free, Headstrong and also Death from Above. This would allow you to aim your Fist of Havoc after activating it in midair and also gain an increase to leap distance after using your Fist of Havoc after sprinting. The Takenaut would increase your heavy ammo drops, allow your radar to stay visible while aiming down sights of heavy weapons, and also all of your rocket launchers would gain tracking. Imperium Bellacluse was actually a really cool Titan exotic as it allowed you to hold yourself in midair after aiming your weapon. Now obviously in Destiny 2 the Warlocks can now do this with their subclass, but at the time this was a pretty cool ability. Finally we have the Glasshouse. Now this exotic was very simple, it would just extend the duration of your Blessing of Light and also Weapons of Light. Right, moving on to Warlocks, the Ram increases armor and also triggers lifesteal on melee hits for all Voidwalker subclasses. Obsidian Mind grants super energy after getting kills with your Nova Bomb. This was a ridiculously fun exotic as it basically allowed you to spam your Nova Bomb, which could be really fun in PvE. Light Beyond Nemesis increases revive speeds and also actually gets you to generate another orb when casting your super. And finally, quite a familiar one, the Stag. Now this is in Destiny 2, but I included it because the exotic perk works very differently in Destiny 1. Whenever you revived a teammate, you would have a chance to receive an overshield, and when your teammates were dead, you would actually have a faster supercharge rate. As you can imagine, this was very popular for Trials of Osiris. People seem to be enjoying this series, so let's continue. The Don't Touch Me's were exotic gauntlets which when you were meleeed they would cause you to go invisible. Sealed Ahamkara Grasps would grant you 2 melee charges, and in Destiny 1 this was really cool as it worked with all of the subclasses. Khepri Sting were probably one of my favourite gauntlets in Destiny 1 as they gave all hunter subclasses invisibility after crouching, but that's not all they did. If you meleeed someone in the back while invisible you would actually deal 4 times damage and apply a poison lingering effect. This was really fun in PvP. As a little bonus, I'm going to include the exotic class items in here. If you pre-ordered the Taken King, you would get a Night Stalker cloak which would increase your XP for that subclass. Then we have the faction cloaks. You could obtain these by completing an exotic quest for your faction, and at the end you would get a cloak which would have a custom respawn animation. Anyway, if you want me to continue this series then just drop a like and that will let me know that you enjoyed the video. Destiny 1 Titan Gauntlets. So the Thagamizers would give you an extra melee charge and would also grant you the Amplify subclass node. Ruin Wings would increase the amount of heavy ammo that drops and the amount of ammo you would get from each brick. No backup plans would allow the force barrier to proc on shotgun kills and would also extend its duration. Immolation Fists would grant you the subclass node Explosive Pyre, and enemies brought down by your hammer would explode, chaining solar damage to other enemies. This was so strong in PvP as it allowed you to get chain kills with your Sunbreaker. Anyway, thank you for watching.
Charging the spark. Triple down.
Right, let's talk about some more Warlock exotics. The Nothing Machines would cause the Landfall AoE effect. This actually did enough damage to kill enemies in PvP. All it did was cause this AoE effect when you activate your super. Ophidian Aspects worked exactly the same in Destiny 1, although you would actually get an improved energy drain with this exotic. The Nothing Manacles were really fun. They would allow your scatter grenade to have an extra charge, and they would also have Seeking, so you could pretty much finish enemies off really easily with this exotic. Claws of Ahamkara literally gave you another melee charge. Now this doesn't sound like much, but with Sunsinger this meant you could get one-shot melees in your super, and you could actually have 2 of these. Right, Destiny 1 Hunter chess pieces. This is the Tarantella chess piece. Now what this will do is it will allow your super and grenade to charge much faster, and you also take reduced arc damage from minions of the darkness. The Crest of Alpalupi speeds up revives and also generates an extra orb on your super. Finally, we've got the Lucky Raspberry. Now this functions a lot like it does in Destiny 2, the only difference being you actually spawn with full grenade energy every time you're using this chest piece. Unfortunately, that is all of the Hunter chest pieces from Destiny 1, so next up we're going to cover the Titan, and a lot of people have been asking about a very specific Titan chest piece. Welcome back to Forgotten Exotics. I think we're on part 8 at this point, so this series really is going the distance. Anyway, the Crest of Alpha Lupi increases orbs on super and also speeds up revive times. The Armamentarium provides 2 grenades, just like in Destiny 2. And finally, one of the most infamous Titan exotics, the Twilight Garrison. This exotic gave Titans a mid-air dodge, just like the Warlock one in Destiny 2. Now I know a lot of Titan mains want to see this return to Destiny 2, as it's just so fun in PvP. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll leave you with some Twilight Garrison gameplay, and I am planning on continuing this series.
Hopping on my whip and I'm parked up.
Welcome back to Forgotten Exotics. The Heart of Praxic Fire would further reduce cooldowns when in your Radiance and also increase movement speed. Now I could make a whole video on just Radiance, but essentially this super would bring you back to life, and it also reduced your cooldowns and gave you some armor. Alchemist's Raiment would give you a chance to gain Glimmer on primary ammo pickups. Also, when your super was full, picking up orbs would give you grenade energy. Voidfang Vestments would give you full grenade energy when you spawned, and it would also give your Axion Bolt an extra Seeker. This was really fun inside of PvP. Right, Purifier Robes. This is going to sound weird if you didn't play Destiny 1, but if you used your super while you were dead, it would blind nearby enemies. Starfire Protocol would literally just give you an extra fusion grenade, but this was really good if you wanted to solo Crota as a Warlock. Welcome back to Forgotten Exotics. Today we're going to cover Hunter Boots. So the Radiant Dance Machines would increase your movement speed while aiming down sights and would also increase your turn radius. The Frosties would work just like they do in Destiny 2, they would reduce your cooldowns while you were sprinting. Finally, we have the Bones of Io. Now, these would allow you to get away with some pretty cheeky stuff. As you can see on screen, we're actually skipping a whole section of the Crota raid. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying the shorts. I am planning on moving on to exotic weapons, but I don't know how many I'm going to be able to squeeze into 60 seconds. If you do want to keep up to date with the Forgotten Exotic series, then I would recommend subscribing. Peregrine Greaves would increase the damage of your shoulder charge while being in midair. As you can see just here, there was actually a glitch where you could one-shot kill the Spider Walker boss. Dune Marchers would give you a tighter turn radius. They would also increase your sprint speed, and they would buff your movement speed while aiming down sights. The MK44 Standardides would increase the duration of your shoulder charge and give you a tighter turn radius while sprinting. If you wanted to go melee only inside of Destiny 1, this was the best exotic for it. Unfortunately, throughout the whole of Destiny 1, the Warlocks only got one pair of exotic boots. The Transversive Steps would allow your weapons to reload when picking up ammo and would also increase your crouch speed. I'm also going to include all of the faction bonds here, so as you can see we've got New Monarchy, Dead Orbit and also Future War Cult here, and then for the pre-ordering of Taken King there was also a Stormcaller bond. This is quite an anticlimactic conclusion to the armor series because I couldn't actually find any gameplay of these bonds. But in any case, if enough people are interested, then I will continue this series into weapons. Anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye. With all the armor out the way, I thought it was time to start on exotic weapons from Destiny 1. So first up we have the Red Death. Now this is akin to the Crimson in Destiny 2. Kills with this weapon would heal you and also speed up your reload speed. This was a ridiculously fun weapon in PvP. The first curse is the opposite to the last word, just how the name suggests. Aiming down sights with this weapon would boost your range, stability and also movement speed. The second exotic perk allowed your first precision kill to refill your magazine, and that would give you bonus range and stability until you reloaded. Honestly, this wasn't the best weapon in the game, but it was still very fun to use. Finally, a fan favourite, the Zarlo Supercell. Projectiles from this weapon would have a chance to chain lightning, just like the Risk Runner in Destiny 2. You were also granted ammo to the magazine and super energy after getting double kills. Now, this was such a fun PvE weapon. As you can see from the clip, you can absolutely melt enemies with this thing. Boolean Gemini would increase your agility after every precision kill, and this would actually stack up to 3 times. Touch of Malice had a very interesting exotic perk. Basically, the final round of the magazine would actually regenerate regenerate. Now, this regenerating shot would deal bonus damage, but it would also deal damage to the wielder, so it had a second exotic perk which would counteract this. Triple kills with the weapon would give you a small part of your health back. Overall, Touch of Malice was very hard to get, but it was a pretty fun weapon to use and a very interesting design. Fabian's strategy was exclusive to the Titan, and it would increase handling, stability and rate of fire when you were close to enemies. Kills would also reload the magazine, so overall a very solid workhorse weapon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and goodbye. Welcome to part 15 of Forgotten Exotics. Now, the Necrochasm was a high rate of fire auto rifle that would cause an AoE cursed thrall explosion on precision kills. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if they brought this weapon back into Destiny 2, as it is like a hive themed weapon and we are moving towards Witch Queen. The Kvostov is the first ever auto rifle you get in Destiny, and they actually brought it back in Destiny 1 as an exotic. Now, the unique aspect of this exotic was the fact you could change everything on it. You could change the rate of fire, you could change the scope, and you could change the majority of the perks. The actual customization is what made this weapon exotic. Now finally, there's always been a bit of debate on how you say this, but I believe it's the Telalok. Now this weapon would gain bonus rate of fire, accuracy and stability when your super was charged. Overall, a very popular weapon in PvP, especially when you held onto your super and really took advantage of that perk. Welcome back to Forgotten Exotics. The Invective was a fully automatic solar shotgun that would actually generate ammo over time. Now at the start of Destiny 1, the ammo economy was very busted. There was actually weapons which could generate ammo, so the Icebreaker was an example of this, and also the Invective. Next up, we have one of my favourite aptly named fusion rifles, the Plan C. The exotic perk states, charge and equip times are very short immediately after swapping to this weapon. So basically what this meant was you could panic, swap to your secondary weapon, and then have an increased charge time for your fusion rifle. This was really fun in Trials of Osiris. The Universal Remote was a kinetic shotgun. Now that should have been an exotic perk in itself in Destiny 1, but it actually had a really cool perk as well. So both range and precision damage were greatly increased when aiming down sights. This made this thing an absolute beast in PvP and dominated for years. Welcome back to Forgotten Exotics. At the start here, I just wanted to mention that we've actually gained about 200 subscribers since the start of this series, so thank you so much for that. Zen Meteor fired explosive rounds, and rapid kills with every single round in the magazine would load an extra high damage round into the mag for 5 seconds. Now this was really strong in PvE if you could hit all of your shots. Dreg's Promise was one of the first ever sidearms added to Destiny, along with the Vestian Dynasty in House of Wolves. This was an arc burst fire sidearm that also had shock rounds which would ricochet off walls, and they would also grant you increased target acquisition. Patience and Thyme was a very fun sniper, as it allowed you to go invisible as any class if you aimed down sight, so after you aimed for a certain amount of time you would gain invisibility. Now in Destiny 1 we did actually have some larger maps with vehicles, and on these really large maps you could really take advantage of this weapon in staying off the radar. Anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye. Right, I've got 3 very interesting weapons today. The Hereafter would cause an AoE blinding effect on precision kills, and when you would crouch it would also increase the zoom. No Land Beyond was a primary sniper, and it would have increased precision damage, and kills would increase damage against your next target. Now this was a bit of a meme weapon in Destiny as it had such a slow reload, but eventually players grew to love this weapon and it was a fan favourite. Finally, my favourite weapon on this list, we have the Pocket Infinity. Now on paper this weapon doesn't look that good, just a fusion rifle, but if we take a closer look at this exotic perk, you'll see why this thing was so powerful. This weapon would fire in full auto mode and have a chance to return rounds to the magazine if you miss. As you can see from the gameplay, this was ridiculous. You could absolutely melt people with this weapon. Anyway, to keep up to date with the series, please don't forget to subscribe, but thank you so much for watching and goodbye.
Hey guys, welcome back. First up, we've got the Trespasser. This is a sidearm. Reloading after a kill causes the next burst to be a longer, more powerful super burst. Next up, we have Nemesis Star. When holding down the trigger on this machine gun, range and accuracy increase as rate of fire decreases. Kills also grant bonus grenade energy. Finally, we've got super good advice. This weapon has a chance to return missed shots to the magazine. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and please don't forget to subscribe. Are you impressed with that? Is that good?
I'm impressed with that. That was spot on. I think
the
we're
Game
all done now, mate.
Boys.
Today we're going to take a look at some Destiny 1 exotic swords. Now if you haven't seen these before, you may notice some similarities to their Destiny 2 legendary counterparts. Young Wolf's Howl came out in Rise of Iron and it had a slam attack that would weaken enemies and also deal damage over time. Next up we have Boltcaster, which was the first projectile sword. Now as you can see from the gameplay, this weapon was actually really strong in PvP. That's for a couple of reasons. Mainly because we didn't have the sword energy system, so you could pretty much spam heavy attacks and they would only really cost 2 ammo, and you could also get a lot more ammo in your sword at a time. Next up we have Razorlighter, and the unique attack on this is now a staple of all swords in Destiny 2. It's literally just an uppercut. Finally we have Dark Drinker, my personal favourite and also akin to the Falling Guillotine in Destiny 2. This was a fantastic sword and it was also really good for soloing Crota. I really did enjoy the whole idea of elemental swords and I would love to see a stasis one or even a hive themed one with a new expansion. Anyway, thank you for watching and goodbye. Today we're going to take a look at some Destiny 1 exotic raid hand cannons. Xioli's Bane was a hand cannon from Kingsfall which returned as an exotic. The problem with some of these legendaries being turned into exotics is they didn't really have an exotic perk. What this weapon would do is deal increased damage to taken enemies, and it also had a perk called Cocoon. This perk was essentially auto-loading holster from Destiny 2. Next up we've got Fever and Remedy. The exotic perk allowed this weapon to deal bonus damage against Fallen, and it would also increase your agility when you had it equipped. Finally, one of the more iconic hand cannons on this list, we have the Word of Crota. This dealt increased damage to Hive mages, and it also had the perk Phantom Gift. Rapidly landing 3 precision hits would return a round to the magazine. Right, welcome to the final episode of Forgotten Exotics. The Icebreaker was a fantastic sniper, but it kind of broke the whole game because it didn't actually require ammo. This weapon couldn't be reloaded and it would regenerate ammo over time. Next up we've got the Nova Mortis, which is basically the Void version of the Thunderlord. The exotic perk on this weapon allowed it to be more accurate and fire faster the longer the trigger was held down. The counterpart to this exotic was the Abaddon. Now this had the same sort of exotic perk. It would fire faster and be more accurate the longer you held down the trigger, but this actually dealt solar damage. And finally, it would be wrong to end the series without talking about this weapon. The Galahorn is the most infamous weapon from the whole of Destiny. I remember surfing LFGs in Destiny 1 and I couldn't find a Crota team because the Galahorn was a requirement. The exotic perk allowed rounds fired from this weapon to split into tracking clusters upon detonation, and this was just so powerful inside of raids. Anyway, before I end the series, I just wanted to say thank you so much. We've actually doubled in size since I began this, so just thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.